Oh, you have the starting soon up, right? Yeah.
It says starting soon.
Yeah.
I didn't put that up.
That's from the 12th, Dad.
Oh, I'm old. I'm sorry.
Now it looks like you're live.
Yeah, we are live. Here we go.
Thank God in comment.
Yeah, right? This guy's always forgetting stuff. So, all right. We're going to do something very different tonight, but as you're coming into the room, please let us know that you're here. Tonight we have a very, very special guest, as always. She's an author. I'm going to call her an entrepreneur and businesswoman. She goes by the name of Miss Mayra Luz Colón. She's a certified integrative nutrition health coach. She's an author, and she also has a brand called Healthy Rican brand. We're going to get into, I guess, the logistics of the brand, of course, because we want to know about that. Being able to have a more healthy selection when you're seasoning your foods, I think, is highly important. And that's a huge reason of why we had her on here. We want to talk about her book, and we also want to talk about her journey and how she got to this space. But before we do, how's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
I'm good.
It's cold
Glad
as
to be
hell
back.
out here.
Yeah, it is, right?
I'm not in Florida no more, that's for sure.
Ugh.
No.
I want everybody to take note of the fact, don't get funny. Miss B. Chanel must be feeling really special today. She has her hair down, and she's looking very womanly today. Usually she comes in after work, and she looks a little more frazzled, so it must have been
I do.
Yeah, right?
I am currently.
Okay.
Still frazzled. I
Don't
just
let the
put
looks
gel in
fool
my
you.
hair today.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay. But she looks more relaxed as opposed to the last couple of shows we've had. She looks a little more stressed.
I just ran here from the train.
Did you move your arms like that when you
Yeah,
did this?
like this. And then when I turn the corner, I do like my Naruto arms.
You pick up speed that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. All right. So as you know, I'm your host, Mr. A.
Oh, B. Chanel.
Sally Sassong in the building.
And this is the set 6145. Tonight, again, we have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about all things Miss Mayra Luz Colón. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest. Miss Colón, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for
Yes.
being here and giving us your time. We're going to have just like, this conversation is just going to be very random. So you're going to get questions and things coming from all ends of the table. So before we start, I'd like for you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where'd you go to school, and things of that nature.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Mayra. I was actually born in New Jersey. I moved to Puerto Rico at a young age. I grew up in Puerto Rico. I went to school there. I went to college there. I had a baby there. And I've been living in Buffalo for 11 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I guess I'm a Buffalonian now. Go Bills.
Have you ever went through a table? You know the Buffalo Bills, they go through the tables.
Yeah.
The Bills Mafia, they jump through tables.
Right, the Bills Mafia. I'm kind of like more still learning. I honestly grew up in Puerto Rico, so football is like not,
Yeah.
it's not really like what people play
Your
there.
thing,
So
yeah.
like I still get lost. I'm like, what's going on? Why are people screaming?
What part of Puerto Rico?
I grew up in Cuamo, so that's in the south side of the island.
Oh, okay.
Has it been a difficult transition? I know 11 years is a long time, and you acclimate pretty well, but how have you felt that transition? Or, yeah.
Right. Well, it was good that I was born in New Jersey. So the first couple of years of school, I learned English. I learned English and Spanish at the same time. So, living in Puerto Rico, I just never forgot it. It was kind of like in the back of my brain, even though I didn't practice it. And, I do have a lot of family in Buffalo. So when I moved, it was a pretty smooth transition. People welcomed me. And, I feel like if I didn't feel like that comfort, I probably would have been back. because I sure miss the island.
Mayra, I was born in Puerto Rico, and I got to the States when I was like 8, and I didn't speak English, right? So in your travels back, how do you feel they treat you? Like me, I feel like a New York Rican, they treat me like insecto or whatever. You know, I dealt with all that. How do you deal with that?
Oh man, that's terrible to hear. Because I don't feel that because I did grow up there.
Right.
So I guess I don't have that like New Yorican accent. Well, and like I have family and I know people, so I know, I travel well in the island because I know the whole area. But yeah, that's kind of like sad to me that you would be treated differently.
Yeah, we always have those discussions. Something we want to talk with people from the island about. Like, why do we have that disconnect? As once Puerto Ricans, why do we bicker with each other about those,
Right. I feel the same way because I have been told, like when it pertains to the island, I've been told like, oh, wait, you moved, like your opinion doesn't count. Like, you can't say what happens and doesn't happen in the island. And I'm like, well, I do have opinions because I have family there, like my dad lives there. I have plenty of friends. It's like, and no matter what, like I care about where I came from. So I do feel like I am entitled to have an opinion, very much so, whether you were born there or not, or grew up there or not. Like if you feel Puerto Rican and it's in your blood, I don't, I feel like there shouldn't be a disconnect.
Right. We definitely have a problem with solidarity when it comes to Puerto Rico and the States. And I could understand to a degree, not saying fully, but to a degree, I get why people in Puerto Rico will feel that way. They probably look at us as advantaged because of, our economic advantages, basically.
Right.
While they're suffering under the boot of, the United States government. So, Sully and Ms. Chanel here, we've kicked around this topic quite a few times, and I've often thought about it because it's like, what else could it be? They probably feel abandoned, right? So
right. No, yeah, I get that. I definitely get that too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me, the way I see it, I'm trying to build myself a life so that I can support better the island. Whenever I can, I support and send money. I help my family there. And, my hopes is that I can eventually like maybe take my business to Puerto Rico and help the economy there. That's kind of like what the goal would be.
Great. And get away from Buffalo. It's cold.
It is cold. It's already, so it's been 3 days of rain and I'm like, oh my God, can the sun just come out for a little bit?
Oh my God. So Mayra, tell us, you said you moved to Jersey initially, right? Or you were born in Jersey?
No, I was born in New Jersey.
Okay. So what is it about health and nutrition? Like what triggered that? Was that an interest in high school when you went, or, did you go to college and take up nutrition? Like how did that come to be?
So it happened because I had my son at 21, so I was pretty young, and I started developing a lot of health issues after that. I truly believe that my hormones kind of just went out of whack, and I started getting like symptoms that the doctors couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. A lot of times, I mean, they didn't flat out say it, but it was like I was seeing like I was crazy, like I was making stuff up in my mind. I'm like, but I feel this way. Like I felt so many different things, and they just told me it was depression and gave me a pill and sent me on my way. I'm like, what? That just can't be it. That right? Like
it doesn't help to be a woman. It doesn't help to be a woman of color. And yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, and I get that.
Right. So that's kind of like, I kind of got into it, for myself. I started doing all the crazy fad diets and, all the crazy, any gimmick that would come out, I would try it. I went through many, many phases, throughout my journey. And, I just discovered that I had a passion for it. And I'm like, wow, I've read all the books, I follow all the doctors, I do all the things. And, I'm just a step away of being like, actually doing this. Like I wanted to be a coach and help other people because I discovered many things that helped me, and I wanted to help other people. So that's when I decided to go to Integrated Nutrition. So it's basically a school based off of New York City, actually. and you go through like a 1 year intense course. You learn all about different nutrition. You learn about bioindividuality, which is looking at the person as a whole and at what symptoms they're presenting rather than, one size fit all. And also like how to coach people and help people navigate through that journey, so they can discover what's best for them, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because there's certain foods that trigger certain things, right? Anti-inflammatory food, right? Things like that. So I'm sure you have to learn all that stuff.
Right.
So how do you, you're saying a nutrition health coach, right? So when somebody comes to you, let's say, for instance, like you have a cousin, and the cousin's like, mira, Mayra, es que no aguanta más nada, toda esta grasa, todo poniendo gordo. Like, how do you profile the person in order to help them? Like, what are the steps that you take?
Some of the first step would be doing like an assessment, asking them all about their lifestyle. What are they eating? What their week looks like, and also like what are they working on? Are they working full time? How do they feel about their job? There's so many questions that we ask to kind of figure out where the person is. Not only in their nutrition, but also like in their mind and their body and their spirit, like how are they feeling as well? Because that can also trigger symptoms sometimes. So it would be about, so it would be like an assessment per se.
I'm really interested to know what like a day in the life of your job looks like. Because you hear about these things, but I've never actually spoke to anybody who's like, well, I don't know if is it like a 9 to 5? Do you work in an office? What does your day look like as a nutritionist?
Well, I don't do the health coaching full-time just yet. So I still work a full-time job.
Okay.
So the way it developed was that I started Nutrition Dork and the name, people ask me, like, why Nutrition Dork? Like, some people don't like calling me Dork, right? Like they feel like it's offensive. And I'm like, well, I chose the name, so it's okay. And the name came because of what I told you earlier. Like, I already knew so much about the nutrition world before even getting certified. Yeah. And in conversation, I told somebody, I'm just a nutrition dork. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like how that sounds. All right. Yeah. So I started Nutrition Dork. And, I started it as a blog, a journey, like sharing my own journey on social media and what I was doing and what I was cooking and, making Puerto Rican foods. And Healthy Rican kind of just happened first before I can even launch myself as a health coach. So
you said it was 1 year intense training. How much longer after that was it? You said
is it still?
Is you still going to school for it, or is it over?
No, yeah, you go for it for 1 year and you get certified. Gotcha. Yeah, it's just 1 year, and then if you want to continue, your education, you can go back and take different certificates. I also have a certificate in hormone health coaching, so that would be specializing in people with different like hormone imbalances. Right, that's like something that I just did. I just finished that because I know for myself, it was more for myself. But yeah, I do eventually plan to like work as a health coach.
That's your end goal. Yeah,
that's the goal.
So Mayra,
right now, Healthy Rican is taking up all my time.
So let's talk about Healthy Rican, right?
Right.
So it's taking up most of your time. Like, is it because of like coming up with the concepts that you put in there, or is it like the moving of the merchandise? Like, what is taking up all your time with Healthy Rican? Are you doing talking engagements, speaking engagements?
So, well, I work a full-time job too, right? So that takes up 40 hours of my week. And then after hours, I create content for the social media. I do, all the videos. I also write my own blogs for like the website. Things like that consume a lot of time. I also handle all the orders that come through the website. So, I do have helpers helping me do the fulfillment of the orders because I'm not Wonder Woman. I can't do everything. So I have my stepdaughter and like a neighbor come over and help me do the orders. But I'm also the one that communicates with different people. You know, I do the networking. You know, I do a lot.
The team of one, basically.
Yeah, it's almost
basically right. I'm like the owner, founder, CEO. What is marketing person,
mailroom
distribution,
manager,
logistics.
You're looking at Healthy Rican right here.
Yeah,
This is it. But
Like, who's your team? Where's
Yeah.
your customer service number?
yeah.
Right here.
it's almost like we say, you know, Spanish growing up, the seasoning and all that. That was always a big problem with us, right? That's part of the. So how do you? What's the difference? Like, how do you change that now? Like, how do you?
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Finish your question.
No, I'm done.
Cecilia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what happened was, like, throughout my journey for myself, you know, dealing with different like autoimmune issues and just trying to avoid, you know, a lot of sodium content and artificial colors or any preservatives. You know, MSG is also a trigger for different, you know, things. So I started to make my own adobo and sazon. So, you know, I started like blending the seasonings and just trying it out. I'm like, okay, this tastes good. So I just started putting like my own adobo like in Tupperware little jars. I started making my own sazon, and that's what I would cook with. You know, my mom would come over. It's funny, and she's like, Mayra, where's your sazon and your adobo? I'm like, I would give her my little containers, and she's like, what's this? She's just not,
This is
you know.
good
She's
stuff.
like, what's this? And I'm like, that's just my own stuff. Just use it. Just try it.
Se marihuana, ¿qué es esto?
He said, well, what are you giving me? Like, right, like, where's the little packets? Because that's how you measure, right? Like with
Yeah.
the little packets. Okay, you're using one or you're
Right.
using two. So, you know, I just told her, okay, if you're using one packet, it's 1 teaspoon. If you're using two, it's 2. That's the measurement. So, you know, it definitely intrigued people, you know, on social media, what I was doing, right? Like, how are you making your foods healthier? So, you know, I came up with the concept. I'm like, okay, I'll write a cookbook, and that way I can teach people how do I make my own food in a healthier way, like what kind of oils I'm using, you know, how I make like the adobo and the sazon and all of that. Like, how am I reducing like all the things that usually trigger like either inflammation or autoimmune symptoms, which is what I wanted to accomplish for myself. So I didn't know there was many people like me out there. So that's kind of like how it all unfolded.
So,
What do you?
go ahead. I'm sorry. Man.
What do you think? Because you said that you transitioned from like the oils and stuff like that. Which one was like the biggest hurdle? Because like I'm trying to do air frying now because oil's not as good for you, but I'm like, this does not taste as good. So what for you was like the biggest hurdle? Like you're like, this is really hard to let go of. I know like we all use adobo and sazon in our house, and you started making your own. So what was like the biggest one that you're like still kind of maybe struggling with? Or you've like mastered?
Right, like ingredient wise or seasoning wise?
Both, like oil, or I didn't even know that sazon and adobo might have unhealthy components in it. So
Right.
yeah, which one? Both.
Right. So for the seasoning, it wasn't that hard. Because all I did was remove, you know, not remove, but like not add any added ingredients. So with my adobo, you get pink Himalayan salt, you get turmeric, you get garlic, oregano, black pepper, ingredients that you recognize and know. There's nothing in there that you can't read. Right. Same with the sazon. So you got the achote, you know, got turmeric in there as well for more color, you know, a little bit of cumin. I don't know what else is. I'm trying to off the top of my head, but I basically just didn't add preservatives or MSG or colors. Is what I did, but the flavor is still there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the colors, the yellows and the reds. And
Right.
I didn't realize that was such a thing until I started looking at the back of everything, and then I'm like, what is yellow and red? I don't understand what that is.
Right. I mean, it's just food dyes, which are FDA approved, right? So it's not like they're harmful and you're going to, you know, like we're eating colors. There's in everything. Like honestly, if you read on the back, like you said, even salad dressings have colors to them. You know, I try to avoid them to the max. You know, I grew up eating Fruity Pebbles like the rest of us, right? But
I was a Captain Crunch guy myself.
Oh, Fruity Pebbles was my favorite. But I feel like it's the excess of it. It's kind of like a balance. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a piece of cake, right? And having some sprinkles on your ice cream sometimes. You know, it's a matter of balancing things out and not eating everything with artificial colors and eating everything with MSG, because that's what really causes like the issues in the long run. It's not something that happens right away.
Mm-hmm. So, sorry.
I'm sorry. You're in a roll. You go ahead and ask your question. Go ahead.
So, yeah, you mentioned like moderation and stuff like that. What do you recommend for, like, I have a sweet tooth hard. Like, if I could just eat sweets and be okay, I'd be so happy. Obviously, I can't do that. What do you recommend, like, for somebody who doesn't even know where to start? Like, cutting certain things out? Like, just doesn't know anything about this. What do you recommend? Or, like...
What I always say to people is to start really simple with things that you already like and enjoy. So if there's already any vegetables that you already know that you love, incorporate more of that.
Okay.
And then start experimenting as you go. Like never try to go from like 0 to 100. You know, you start with slow little changes. So, you know, if you're used to eating like white bread every day, you know, maybe switch it up to like a whole grain one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and then from there, keep moving it along to a healthier one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until, I mean, if you can get rid of it completely, good for you, but that's not the case for the majority of us, right? You know, I love bread like anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
she has a garlic
right.
bread thing. Do you see the garlic bread pan sobao she has?
Oh,
yeah, we'll get to that later. Okay.
All right.
Pan sobao is like, you know, the best thing ever. You can eat it plain. You don't have to add anything to it, right? But whenever I can, you know, I buy sourdough, which is a fermented dough, which means that it actually helps the digestion. Right. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, that's better than the white bread.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like slow changes. And also, I always say add vegetables whenever you can. So if you can eat vegetables with all your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're already winning.
Okay.
And if you try to focus like on whole foods too, so whenever you can, whole foods, what it is, it's a whole food, right? An egg is just an egg. That's it. There's no other ingredients to it. An apple is an apple. So that's what whole foods is. So as long, like, if you can remove like processed food as much as you can, anything from a box or, you know, that's already like pre-made in a factory, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Do you have your own little garden? Like, or is that
I do not. I wish. I don't live in an area where I could.
Buffalo, you can't grow nothing up there.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's something that I've also looked at. I'm like, I think I really, I don't know if I got a green thumb. Now that's something different.
Herb garden.
But they make it look so easy, and that going in hand, perfect.
Right. Yeah. I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. I'm thinking of getting one of those that you can have it indoors, and all you do, it's like I forgot the name of it, but it's like with water. Whatever.
Aero garden.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking into. But yeah, I just try to buy, you know, if I can buy organic or go to the farmer's market, things like that, and just buy like fresh, whatever's in season is best, because it'll prevent of it having like extra. So when it grows out of season, they have to ferment that to grow in an atmosphere that it's not used to. So it kind of loses its vitamins and minerals a little bit. So
I'm curious to know, because I'm looking at your products, right? And you've raised very interesting points as far as what is in our foods. And a lot of people don't really take note to that, right? That's the first part. The second part is your products are manufactured somewhere, right? And you have to remain competitive. So how do you balance out the health aspect while trying to remain competitive as far as your pricing is concerned? Like, how do you come to that?
Going into it, I honestly didn't cut short. Like, my recipe is my recipe, and that's it. Like I didn't change a thing. I think where I kind of made a decision was to not be completely certified organic.
Okay.
Like, well, my products are all natural and they're ingredients that are like that you can read, right? Like they're not, making them completely organic and also getting like the certification on top of that, and you have to continue to pay for it, costs a lot of money, and that would raise the price significantly. So that's what I did.
I don't mean to jump in again, but doesn't that strike you or anger you in a way, because the packaging or containers of food that we see every day make all sorts of claims that we know are lies, right? And they get away with it. But if you want to say that it's organic, you got to pay a hefty price. Why is that? Like, we should be wanting to be healthy and eat things that are good for us.
Right.
So
I agree.
Mayra,
That angers me a little bit too, because I truly believe that all food should be organic. Like, why do we need to choose?
hello.
You know what I mean? Like, why is there an apple and then an organic apple? Why can't there just be organic apples? And then we just,
So
I can go on about it, but
Mayra, so there was a point that when you made this change, right, to your product and stuff, where maybe a doctor's, you've seen numbers different or something. Like, where was that point that you were like, oh wait, this is something, I'm onto something here because this is healthier? So when was that moment?
that moment happened for me. It happened to me in my life twice. I mean, I'm just looking at like the big picture of like my whole trajectory. So the first time was when I started making changes to my lifestyle. A doctor in Puerto Rico had told me that I needed to remove my gallbladder. And even though I didn't have gallstones, which is the reason why gallbladders are removed, he said, might as well take it out now because it eventually is going to become an issue and you're going to have to remove it anyway.
That sounds like the black
I'm like,
market.
wait a minute. If I don't have stones yet, why are you telling me to remove it perfectly? I mean, it wasn't perfect. It was not perfect. It was okay. So it was functioning at, I think, at a 7%. I don't know what that means, but it's really low. So my gallbladder was barely functioning. So what that means is that because it's not functioning well, eventually you develop gallstones, right? So that's what he was saying. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I did some lifestyle changes and I started doing like more nutrition stuff. I started avoiding fatty foods. I started changing a lot of things and just doing like holistic approaches to eating better. And lo and behold, it's been over 12 years and I still have my gallbladder.
Nice.
So that is one testament that whoever tells me like that nutrition and lifestyle changes don't do anything, you know what I mean? Like, no.
You're the prime
Because
example.
I am here with my gallbladder.
Yeah.
He was trying to buy more chivas for the freaking finca. That's what he was trying to do. For real.
Do you have any guilty pleasures that you're like, oh, I still like this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't believe in deprivation. You know, I tell people, because sometimes people are like, oh, don't look at me eating this. I'm like, girl, I'm not judging anybody.
Yeah.
Because I do it too. I eat ice cream once in a while, like I'll have my burger if I want it, I believe in that balance of, if you want it, go for it, because I feel deprivation just causes more anxiety and it could cause depression, honestly, because of what kind of life is that you can't even enjoy your food. You have to enjoy what you're eating. That's why I always say, start with what you like. Mm-hmm. Don't go ahead and do something crazy and you're going to hate every step of the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I still have guilty pleasures. I still make flan once in a while, the regular way. I do have like a healthier version of flan. I have a healthy version for everything, but once in a while I'll throw it with everything I got.
Is your whole family is on this kick, or like are you the main cook in the house, so it's like sink or swim kind of thing? Okay.
They have to. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever I cook, you guys eat. Sometimes I do two different, I'll do like my own thing and then, do something similar, but like let's say the example would be like lasagna. Sometimes I do lasagna and I make it, full on cheese with gluten and everything for everybody else, and then I'll do like a small little pan for me with like the brown rice pasta and the dairy-free cheese and the stuff that everybody hates.
So at what moment do you decide, you know what, I want to put this book together? And when you do start to venture into it, what is the response that you get?
It was a really good response. At first, I basically just mentioned it on my personal Facebook page to friends and family. And, a lot of people were really interested in it. So I put together like an ebook at first. And I'm like, okay, you guys want this? All right, I'll put together an ebook. And a lot of people like actually purchased that little ebook and they loved it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I always had in the back of my mind that I was going to do it. I didn't launch the book until 2 years later.
Oh, wow.
Right. It took a while for me. I feel like it was more like a self-conscious thing. Like I just never thought like I can put this out there. I don't know. That was more mindset stuff that I had to work on. But once I was ready, I was determined and I self-published the book.
Was your friends supportive or was it more strangers?
A little bit of both. Surprisingly, I have good friends and good family.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Well, because I know that a lot of people say, like your strangers are gonna buy from you, and I was fortunate enough that my friends and family were the ones sharing before I was even ready to sell anything. Like I didn't have the products yet, and I was already like
sold out,
blasting on Facebook, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have anything yet to sell.
I know before we got on here, do you have your book with you so we can see it?
I do. Yeah, I have it. I brought it just in case.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, so this is my cookbook. This character here, that was hand drawn and painted by an uncle of mine.
Too cute.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So I launched the book. So when I decided to go all in into Healthy Rican and do the cookbook, that's how Healthy Rican started. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a cookbook called Healthy Rican. The seasonings came after.
Oh.
And it was funny how the seasoning took off before the cookbook was even ready. But it was all in the middle of the pandemic. And I wanted like a photo shoot in a kitchen for the cookbook. And I'm like, oh, that would be cute, but the pandemic happened. And I'm like, there's no photographers taking pictures anywhere. So I called my uncle. I'm like, hey, can you just make a drawing of me in the kitchen? And I'm like, I think this was 10 times better than a picture of me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like our people are going to respond more to that cover because it feels more homey than somebody in a kitchen, because you see that on I work in a bookstore, so I see that on all cookbooks. And
he did great. Like from I don't know if you guys can see it, but from like the flamboyanes in Puerto Rico over here.
Oh yeah.
He put a coffee mug with the Puerto Rican flag, and the seasonings that he have in the back were from like that very first PDF I was telling you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
Because he was the one that had it, and I'm like, oh my God, I recognize those jars. Those were like from my very first before it was a cookbook.
And can you just let everybody know where we can get the book?
So the book is available on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble too. So it's not in stores. It's only like online. You can order it like to Target. I always say Amazon because Amazon is free shipping, where I think Barnes & Noble and Target, you kind of have to hit like, you buy a certain amount, free shipping. So
yeah. No, I get it. Okay, cool. Did you have a question?
I'm sorry.
And I also saw that you did bring your spices. Can you show us those and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
And like,
wait, the dog got stuck back here. Hold on.
I thought the dog was going to town on spices. Like, yo, what's going on?
He got stuck in between the couch and the.
Sácame de aquí.
He's a goofball. So I have him here. So it's the adobo.
Nice.
kind of bright. The sazon. So you see the color, how that's like really rich color.
Yeah.
The sazon is also salt free. So this is only product. This is what I also tell people. It's like you can add your salt as your own discretion.
Mm-hmm.
This one is made with pink Himalayan salt, but as you can see, look at the color.
It's very rich.
Most adobos that you see in store are white because they're mainly salt and MSG, which is also white.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have a salt-free adobo. So this is basically, it's kind of the same recipe as the adobo without the salt.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a dehydrated sofrito, which people are like, what the heck is a dehydrated sofrito?
Do you cook it the same way?
So so you can. So the reason I created the dehydrated sofrito was because I was in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen one day and I didn't have sofrito, and I'm like, man, I don't know how, but like in the back of my mind, I remembered knowing that my supplier for the seasonings, they have dehydrated peppers, they have dehydrated cilantro, they have dehydrated. And I'm like, wait a minute, I wonder if they can make us, like, we can make a sofrito. So it took 5 times back and forth to get the recipe just right. So the way I would do it would be when, I would mix it up with water and allow it to hydrate and then cook with it.
Okay.
And that's how this was created.
Like the
Breaking Bad 2 over here.
Yeah.
Walter White. Go on.
And just real quick, because we're getting asked in the chat, where can we get the seasonings?
So you can go to healthyrican.com. If you go to the shop, so they are available there, and they're also available on Amazon. So if you just type in Healthy Rican, or if you go to the website and click on the items, it'll take you to Amazon. Mm-hmm. Right now, we were going through like an inventory drought. So I decided, let me just sell on Amazon for now, because keeping track of 2 inventories on 2 different places was really hard. Mm-hmm. So for now, we're only selling through Amazon. But yeah, we're going back to the website soon.
Have you ever been able to fool people and not tell them, like, I'm just going to cook. I'm not going to tell them what seasonings I'm using. I read, what the response is.
Yeah, I have with my own family. I have thought of maybe bringing in one day, like, guests to my house and record them to just see the reaction, maybe.
Definitely.
But I have definitely done it with my family, or where I do like 2 different beans. Like when I first like trying out the samples of the sofrito, like I would make a batch of beans and one with the regular sofrito, just to see if they would. And there's no complaints.
Ahora tengo hambre.
Did you get did you get any feedback? No complaints, but did you get any feedback? They're like, yo, you really put your foot in this one, or this could use a little salt or something.
I have gotten that. I think, because like I said, it took 5 times to do that one.
Trial and
the
error.
other ones were nail it. But for that one, I got some feedback from like my sister. So what I do is I just kind of give it to the family, like my sister, my mom. I don't make anything without my mom's approval. So she has to try it and make it. And so, yeah, I do that with friends and family.
Now, have you replaced all the spices in all your families, or do they still go and buy? They're like, oh, yeah, but come on, let's hold off for a little bit. Or have you completely replaced everything?
Right. I do have people that it's just mine. And I do still have people that I haven't completely, like, they use both still. At least they use both.
What would people say? What would be the biggest difference of like the package and your spices? Like the taste different, like less salty, or is it? Does it smell? Have the aroma? You know how you have the sofrito, you smell that. Is this is the sofrito smelling the same?
So it smells a little different because it did come from a dehydrated form, but it still smells really good. The sazon, it's salt free, so you still have to kind of add a little bit more salt to taste. What other feedback have I gotten? Yeah, I think that's it. Like people first try it and they're like, oh, wait, that's also, like it needs salt. And I'm like, well, you can,
I told you that.
It doesn't have any salt at all. So yeah, it will be, it's a matter of getting used to it too, because it is flavorful. That's the thing. Like you will taste flavor. It just won't have like that saltiness.
Which I think is a big thing in our community. Any
Huge.
community of color, you need a little bit of salt. I could definitely see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a matter of getting used to it. Like for me, sometimes I go over to restaurants and like for places, even in Puerto Rico, and to me they taste salty. So I'm like, oh man, all right, it's still good though. I'll still eat it. I just need some water after.
Do you ever think, or is it a hope of yours to be able to have the island adopt your products?
It is definitely a hope of mine, for sure.
Okay.
It's definitely like, I can't say it's in the works because it's not, but it's in my mind. So if it's in my mind, it's in the works.
Have you had your family in Puerto Rico try your spices?
Oh, yeah. I'm always sending boxes to friends and family. They're hooked on it. Like,
Mira, nosotros somos amigos.
Right,
That's
right.
beautiful.
Yes. Fat guy inside talking right now. I'm really hungry right now. Sorry.
I'm over here talking about food and stuff.
Exactly.
So from your book, what would you say is like your favorite recipe? Can you show us like the inside of it? I don't know if it'll translate well over the camera, but you got colored pictures? That's awesome.
Yeah, I have colored pictures, so that's like the beans. I have pasteles in here too.
You've made pasteles with your seasoning?
Yeah. So
wow.
this is my mom's hand right there making pasteles.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
that's
ask.
like
These
the
are like
chicken.
legit
It's a
photos.
lot of work, Marcellus.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yep.
Yeah, so we have pasteles in here. I don't have a lot of desserts, but one of my favorites is a cake that I have in here.
A cake.
Yeah, so I called it, I didn't know what to call it, so I called it super moist almond cake because it's gluten free, but it comes out really moist. It's really good. That's one of my favorites, but I do have like tembleque.
Oh, Jesus.
I do have like...
I gotta eat, bro. I haven't eaten all day.
Right, like there's a little bit of everything. So the way I designed the book was like, at the beginning, I talk a little bit about my story and, growing up in Puerto Rico and the things that I saw, especially like in the food industry, and how things started to change. And then I talk about like food combinations for healthier digestion. And like, this is how we should, not that we're always going to do it, but if we do it this way, our digestion will work better. And 80% of our immune system lives in our digestion. So if our digestion is working well, then our body will too. So then I go through like all the food ingredients. So when you're choosing vegetables, when you're choosing meat, if you choose to eat meat, when you're choosing carbohydrates, what to look for.
That's really smart.
Fats. So it's kind of like
it's like a little guide.
Right. It's like a guide. And that's why I always tell people, it's like, it's more than a cookbook. It's more like a guide. And if you've never made Puerto Rican food, then we go, we talk about sofrito, we talk about sazon and adobo. Those are like the three, like the core of the flavor.
The Trinity.
And how to make those, how to make sofrito. Because I made it thinking about the non-Puerto Ricans, right? Like I made it thinking, I'm like, oh, what if anyone wants to cook?
Well,
so
a lot of our culture, right? Our age, a lot of these don't cook, right? We lost the abuelitas and the mamas that cooked. So we need that back. So hopefully the book, they could buy the book and helps them.
You're right. No, and I also think about that too. I think about like the generations. I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle where we were still, I almost lost it. If it wasn't because I was really interested in the nutrition portion, that I'm like, okay, I have to cook.
Right.
Like I feel like I would have probably
These kids are not going to eat if I don't cook.
Yeah.
Right. And I still call my mom sometimes. I'm like, Mommy, like, how do you make like this, and that? Like a lot of the recipes in here was me and my mom either on the phone or I brought, like, she would come here and I would be trying to measure what she did because everything is.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Is there measurements in there? Because everybody's like, no, poquito poquito there.
I did put the disclaimer in the book, you have to play around a few times with the food because that's the other thing is like, it may taste good to me, but to you, it might be disgusting. So yeah, you kind of have to still play around.
Yeah.
Has your mom stole any of your recipes? Like, Has she taken any wisdom from you and now uses it in her own thing, or is it just like a one-way street? I could see that. Okay, fair enough.
I'm like,
Mommy's watching. I can't take it.
I mean, not cooking wise. I would say yes and no. I think more along the lines of like the healthier stuff. Like, mommy, this is healthier. Use this oil. But what's funny is that she goes to like different activities and whatnot, and I think she was going to some like classes with a dietitian like in the community. And she was coming to me to tell me a bunch of stuff that she learned. And I'm like, mommy, I've been telling you this for years. All right. As long as you learn it, I don't care how.
Yeah.
They never believe it when it comes from us because we don't know nothing in their eyes, basically.
Que tú sabes.
So
Right.
Mayra, your book, sitting here and observing you go through it and actually sharing with us in the audience what's in it. For me, I want to buy the product now.
Yeah.
Because for me,
I want to try the dehydrated soup,
for me, I'm getting a different understanding. I'm thinking it's just a regular cookbook, but you've taken it a step further and you've given people more information and guidance as to eating and proper eating and what they should eat and things to look out for. Usually a cookbook is just, all right, 3 tablespoons of this, 1 cup of that, blah, blah, blah. So I have to give you your kudos, if as they say. So I'm definitely going to make a purchase and buy this book. That's the first part. The second part is, what are your hopes for the future? What are you looking to do, like, in the, let's say the very near future, the next 6 months? Like, what do you hope Healthy Rican will start to move towards?
So my hopes, and this comes from listening to my audience and listening to my customers and listening to people, is to see the products in stores. I think if I can get some sort of distribution going where we can sell, like, I'm thinking like Whole Foods, perhaps Target, like stores that you can find in almost every state. I know it won't be available everywhere. Like if I choose the stores that I have in Buffalo, like Wegmans and Tops, that's can only take me so far. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm looking into getting funding. That's like the biggest thing is funding.
Tank,
so
I was just gonna say that. Get your numbers up and go on Shark Tank. Nobody has your product.
thing, though.
Yeah, huh?
They don't always pick the right people, though.
No, I know, but
I get it. Yeah.
From what I see, I mean, again, listening to her describe her book,
Yeah.
and then the Latin community is one of the fastest growing segments of the population right now here in the States. I think it's the perfect time for somebody like her to go on like a Shark Tank to look for funding because, again, you're offering up something to a market that's immeasurable right now. So I think that's that would be a great thing for you.
Do you have?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I need to work up the courage to do this. I mean,
shy?
I don't know. I probably.
You shy?
I'm not shy. My biggest issue, I can do this all day long.
Right.
You tell me to present something, and I'm a mess. Like with public speaking or with a presentation or something that's practiced and rehearsed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, terrifies me.
Really?
So. I don't know why, and I always forget everything. I get so nervous, I will be getting questions, right? And I feel like I need a ton of practice, which I am practicing right now.
Would you speak from your heart?
Pitches and things like that.
Yeah.
Speak from your heart. You speak from your heart, and your product will sell itself.
So
Practically
me.
Yeah.
it is.
So me.
It's practically selling
That
itself
book
right
is
now.
again. There's some. I think everybody in the room, anybody who's in the room right now, to rethink healthy options, but to also support Mayra, because again, the book is incredible. It's very informative. You're not only going to learn how to cook different recipes from it, but you're also going to learn how to eat healthy. It might impart knowledge to you that you probably never had before. And she's a part of our community. She's our people. You should support, rightfully so. Right? Am I selling it right, Mayra?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate
This is your
it.
Shark Tank right here.
Yeah.
Right? It's Shark, if you're out there.
Where do people find? Why did I just stutter like that? I got stuck, right? Max
All right.
Headroom.
It's all right.
You got stuck in the matrix.
Because I'm looking at your shirt. Is there also like a merch division?
So kinda.
Yeah, because I was gonna say no viste ni carajo on the website. I was looking for because I like that shirt.
Right. No. So this is free advertisement to Target. This is from Target, Latina Fuerte. I saw it. I'm like, no, Latina Fuerte. That's me.
I've seen
but
that line.
I do have a Healthy Rican collection in collaboration with another Latina entrepreneur,
Okay.
Mommy Wear, and so I hired a local, or like an artist that I just loved her art. I'm like, hey, can you create something for Healthy Rican? I just love it. Just make whatever you want. And she created this beautiful drawing with like a pilon, and it has like an avocado and different things. I don't have it here right now. And I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Like that would look great on a t-shirt. So it kind of just happened organically where I connected with the Mommy Wear, and she's like, all right, let's do a Healthy Rican collection. So if, through her website, you can get like shirts and sweatshirts and aprons and mugs and things like that. It's pretty cool.
Una bata.
Yeah. Get a
Oh my
bata
God, we
with
don't have
Healthy
that,
Rican.
but we could.
Can you spell the website out for everybody?
It would be Mommy as MAMI Wear WEAR.com.
And that's exactly what I thought she was going to spell.
So
like.
Mayra, you have family in Puerto Rico, and we recently had the hurricane over there. Was your family okay? Everybody good over there? Like, what's this?
Everyone was good. My dad was excited because he, not because of the hurricane. Wait. Back off. No, but like, I mean, he didn't get much damage or anything.
Right.
I think he got some water in the house and stuff because I think that, like, I don't know, it came through the windows and stuff.
Right.
But no damage.
Not bad.
But he has a creek, and the creek for like many, like it's dry. He had running water, like a little river behind his house for like a couple of weeks. So he was excited.
Okay.
He sent me videos of him like laying down on the water and stuff.
Get some
I'm like,
koi fish in there. Get some koi fish in there.
That was going to be my
anyway,
next question.
no, my family was okay. I feel like the hurricane hit more like the west of the island. So yeah, I think they still working on that. And I am supporting one of the websites that is like collecting funds. It's oh my God.
We promoted one too. What was it? With Adrian. What was it?
I almost had a stroke just now, bro.
Se me olvidó el nombre.
Yeah, exactly.
Patria, mipatria.com. That's what it is. So I guess they
Sounds
like
like it, yeah.
help people put the roofs back up and things like that. So
Yeah, it sounds like Adrian was promoting that one too.
I believe so. Yeah, a lot of people have been promoting. Friends of ours have been promoting very grassroots organizations that are doing things such as that one. And I believe it's that one.
Right.
But we always try to caution people to stay away from the corporate entities that are just collecting money, that are going to line their pockets, and it's going to do more harm than good. So it's good that you're supporting something like that that's more based in the people and not, the bigger organizations.
right.
Because they are.
And yeah, they collected a lot. In fact, Mommy Wear and I were both until the end of October. So for my Healthy Rican collection on mommywear.com, all the proceeds from me are going to go to that entity. And I believe Mommy Wear is doing a 10% of profits from her whole website. So
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That's really, really nice.
Can you just real quick plug in your Facebook, Instagram, and stuff so people can follow you and know where to link up and stuff?
yeah, like in the chat.
Just in general, out loud.
Yeah, just out loud. Just tell everybody.
Yeah.
Tell everybody your
Oh,
socials.
I'm over here like, wait.
Yeah, so they can find you.
So you can find me at Healthy Rican almost everywhere. So you go to Facebook and put Healthy Rican, you'll find me. Instagram at Healthy Rican, TikTok as well at Healthy Rican.
Is that the name of your
That's
blog
where you'll
too?
find. Yep, The blog is healthyrican.com, and in the blog tab, there's blogs and recipes in there.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Josh, started to drag you into this, but can we tuck her as we close the show and just like after the show say, all right, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen that are watching, everybody that's in the room watching this show, you have to support somebody like Mayra. Not because we're telling you to. You should support her because she is our people, one. Two, she's offering a product that is unique unto itself. We never get talk from people when it comes to health. You know, we're never told about the byproducts. You're never told about all the nasty things that is being put in your food, and we consume them every day. And Mayra's trying to combat that by bringing the food that we love to the table in a way that is good for you and is not going to hurt you. And the book is very educational, and she's demonstrated that. So you should really, you know, really come out your pocket and support this woman's endeavor. You know, if there's anything that you want to invest in just for yourself, this is it. This is an amazing book. As you can see, she's a very personable person and very real. You know, she's not out here, you know, all fancy schmancy. She's building it from the mud. She's getting it up from the ground up. And these are the people we like to speak to, and these are the people that we should support. Mayra, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your time. And as you can see, a whole hour just went by so fast. What I wanted to tell you was you're going to get over the hump with your public speaking. You should confront it because, again, your products are amazing, you know. And,
Speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. You deserve a lot of recognition. And, again, I would implore everybody to support Mayra and what she's doing. Go out there, buy her products, buy her book, buy her merch. And
I did have one last question.
Go ahead, please.
Do you see yourself moving towards more of like a diet book instead of a cookbook because that guide part in the front? Because I know there's like a lot of like South Beach or Weight Watchers. They have diet books and cookbooks. Do you see yourself kind of doing something like that? Is that something we can see in the future for you?
I think so. I have a couple ideas already that I have, you know, in my vision book.
Okay.
So that's definitely something I'm working on. I need to quit my job first. I think that's the first pump. I think that those 40 hours are more needed on this.
I do the poquito diet. Poquito de aquí, poquito de allá. I'm always eating, so not keto. I do
Poquito de aquí and poquito de allá.
Yeah.
It's a great diet.
Yeah.
What I do for Thanksgiving, I poquito, un poquito, un
There you
poquito,
go.
poquito.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for coming on, though. For real, we
Yes,
appreciate you.
definitely.
Myra, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Don't disconnect yet. We're gonna close the show out. We're gonna come back. I just want to, you know, have a quick
Don't start a
conversation.
Miss Pac-Man game.
Yeah. Before you go, all right, ladies and gentlemen, show your appreciation for author, nutritional health coach, and the healthy dork, Miss Mayra Luz Colón. Thank you so much, Mayra. Okay, just
Bye-bye.
sit tight. Wow.
What a great show.
No, you know what's crazy? I didn't expect what she had in her book, the information. I didn't expect that. And it kind of like spoke to what you were bringing up about a diet book, because when you hear diet, you think people are starving themselves.
Yeah.
Diet just means like, you know, what you
Adjustments.
eat. Yeah.
It should be adjustments.
Yeah,
like
for
she
sure.
said, it's not sustainable when you go crazy. Like intermittent fasting, when I started, it was like, all right, I started at like 12, and then, you know, like I changed the hours slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely.
Yeah, sometimes when you jump off too hard for the first time, not good, because you can't, it's not sustainable, as she said. Sometimes people are obsessive and they could do that
Cold
shit.
turkey's tough.
Yeah, for real. I had a great time. You guys have fun?
Yeah.
Always.
That was
yeah,
awesome.
we learned a good one. So we'll see you back here next week at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Canada, right? Canada, we talk next week?
Canada We Talk will be next week. So the ladies will be here. Ms. B. Chanel will have her day off because she needs a day of rest. She's a busy woman. And we'll be back next week at 7